My co-host is here.
Hi, baby co-host.
Welcome back to my casual book channel. My name is Rosenica. This is where I post anything book related. I have a casual main channel where I talk about anything related to like pop culture, specifically as it relates to like movies and shows and life's events and rants that I go on. But today we're talking all things book. I haven't been on this channel in a while because I've been going through it. Oh my gosh. I just am a different person, and my motivation for my creative projects ebbs and flows. But today I am coming here with the mid-year freakout booktube tag. We're gonna talk about all of our feelings mid-year about what the heck we're reading, what the heck I'm reading, because I am still reading as much as I'm not uploading to my channel. I am always reading. I'm always thinking about creating YouTube stuff. I currently have a book vlog that I just haven't posted because it's like so much. Woo! It's so whatever. The mid-year book freakout tag. Anyway, if you don't know, what I look for in books is I look for a really good cry. I look for something that is thrilling. I look for something that has, I have been saying like implicit or explicit social commentary. I think I'm mainly just looking for explicit social commentary, honestly. I look for books with like sad undertones or just like a thriller. Question number one is, what's the best book you've read so far in 2024? The best book that I read so far in 2024 is The Mostly Untrue Story of Tanner and Louise. It was one of those books where you're like, I know what the heck is going on. And then it turns out that you don't. It's a story of two main female characters that have a significant age gap on purpose. One of them is an older woman named Louise Wilt. One of them is Tanner, I forget her last name. Tanner has recently gone through some life-changing changes. she recently had her life change. She has to take up a job as a caregiver to Louise Wilt. Louise Wilt is one of those people that just kind of refuses to age and is bothered by young people, but at the same time still needs a caregiver to take care of her. And something happens to where they may or may not have to flee. And the reasoning behind that is just something that it takes the whole book to figure out, basically. I say may or may not because I'm like nervous to spoil, but it's like as soon as I say may, it's like duh, it's gonna happen. I found this book incredibly refreshing. I found it thrilling. I found it tense. I found it also very funny. And also, as a past caregiver, and I was a much better caregiver than Miss Tanner. Oh my gosh, she was like doing the bare minimum for Louise. I just really related to the things that Tanner has gone through, as well as so many people that I've cared for in Louise. Oh, beautiful and amazing, fabulous. The next question is, what's the best sequel that you've read so far? I haven't read a sequel. I just started my first series, like ever, I'm pretty sure. I've never read series before. I'm kind of like a one and done. I just want to read the book and kind of get out of there. If I read a series and I'm not into it, it's like, I don't want to have to go into the next book if I'm not feeling it. So I try to avoid them until now. New release you haven't read yet but want to. Riley Sager came out with Middle of the Night that dropped a couple days ago actually, and I am very excited to read it. I really like a lot of Riley Sager's books. One of the first books that I read when I was getting back into reading was House Across the Lake, of course, because it was really popping at the time. And then I read Lock Every Door, and I thought that was great, even though the ending was twisted. It was good. But yeah, I just am always really thrilled by Riley Sager. I really like him. The most anticipated release date for the second half of 2024, I don't have one. I really am not like a reader who keeps up with everything in the book world, like socially. I feel very much like if it's shown to me on Book Talk and if something is popular, I'll get onto it. But I'm not somebody who's like, I'm keeping up with this author and this author and this author and this trend and this trend and this trend, and I know all the booktubers. Like, I'm mainly a very independent person, but so every once in a while something will catch my eye. So I don't have like a book that I'm like waiting for. Like, I don't, like, a lot of girls on booktube I find are very in tune and tapped into socially what's going on in the book world, and I'm not. Biggest disappointment of this year, what did I write down? This book called Before the Coffee Gets Cold. You know, it's one of those books where a lot of people like it, and I really wanted to be one of those people because I liked the people that liked it. Like, I so badly want to get into it. I so badly want to be fulfilled by it. I want to get the energy that other people got from it, but I simply just couldn't get into it. If you don't know, Before the Coffee Gets Cold is essentially a... How much am I gonna ruin if I go into like the plot of it? Yeah, no, it's not a plot ruiner if I say it's kind of like a time traveling book. A book that takes place in a cafe in Tokyo. And essentially, when you step into the cafe and you sit down at one of the tables, you go back into a past time where you were sitting there previously. It's a very fascinating story focused on a pair of lovers that may want to redo the past. I love the concept. Like, I want to get into it so bad, and I simply just could. It's like one of those books where you're just like dying to be like, can I please just pay attention? I can't just pay attention, and I couldn't. I got maybe like 20% into it, so I really gave it a fair try. What was the biggest surprise of the year? The book, the twist at the end of I Know Who You Are by Alice Feeney. I love Alice Feeney so much. Every single time I read one of her books, I'm like, this is gonna be a banger. I know this is gonna be a banger and it's gonna be great. She has a lot of thrillers. I Know Who You Are is a thriller about this girl who's in some really unfavorable circumstances. And I was gonna reach for my tea, but I'm gonna finish my sentence first. It's like, how much do you give away that is at the beginning, but not too far into the middle? So essentially, this actress, you go back and forth between present day and the past, and you see her childhood and what made her interest into playing different characters. You see why she is that way, and a lot of it has to do with her past traumas, which are insane. I want to talk about this oh my god, I'll talk about this in depth one day. Maybe that's like gonna be in like a week or so when I post what I read in May and June. It was fictional crush. I don't have a fictional crush. I haven't been reading books like that I'm like, oh my god, I'm gonna die for him. I haven't read any of those, so I don't have that answer. Newest favorite character, Louise Wilt from The Mostly True Story of Tanner and Louise, because she's such a little firecracker. She's such a little... I love a sassy elder woman who just is hanging on by the skin of their teeth to their youth. I love it so much. What's a book that made you cry? Apples Never Fall by Leanne Moriarty. Just a solid book. I really considered giving it the 5 out of 5, but I simply didn't have that thing that made me feel like this is on par with Demon Copperhead. It like was so good. It was so good. It made me cry. It made me feel a lot of things, but ultimately it was just like a little too much. It was a little bit like, just could have ended like an hour ago, but it keeps going and it's good, but it's like, oh, when you want a book to end simply for the sake of it to be over, it's like, I don't know if I can give you the full, you know. So yeah, that was a book that made me cry because the ending was just so beautiful. What's a book that made you happy? A book that made me happy was The Power by Rhonda Byrne, who was also the creator of The Secret. Not the creator. Yeah, no, she's the creator, the author of The Secret. She's a book and a documentary. Made me happy because it's a self-help kind of a book, and a book that's informative about, you know, manifestation, spiritual practices that I feel like I took so much from. I'm gonna probably reread that book and The Magic because it was so good. Favorite book to movie adaptation you've seen this year? I don't even know if I've seen a book that's been adapted into a movie. I probably have. I am not well in my head, I think, because I literally read Killers of the Flower Moon, the book that was turned into Killers of the Flower Moon, the movie. So 110% Killers of the Flower Moon. The book was 10 times better than the movie. Even though the book was historical fiction, it still made me feel a lot more connected to the story, a lot more connected to this, what was supposed to be told about this story, than the movie ever will. All I can think of is just the fact that I read Apples Never Fall because I was going to compare Apples Never Fall, the TV show, to Apples Never Fall, the book. And yeah, that's kind of the only on-screen adaptation I can really think of. This one is, I think, related to blogs, but it was like the favorite post you've written this year. I'm going to relate it to YouTube and say your favorite YouTube video you wrote or you posted this year. And in relation to that, I feel like my discography is so little that I can be like, that's my favorite. There's like 4 to pick from. But I really did like the video where I read the book that I hated, Fourth Wing, because it was just like fun. Like, it was really fun. It was fun to edit. It was fun to go on the journey. It was fun. I like the vloggy type thing. I like sitting and talking, but also like going on a journey. Super cool. Most beautiful book you bought this year? I truly have not bought I haven't bought a book this year. I simply use the library, which is why I'm not showing physical examples of the books that I've read. And I use the library for physical books as well as Libby for audiobooks. But a beautiful book that I read this year, I really haven't read anything with like crazy elaborate book covers, but I really did like Beautiful World, Where Are You? That was a really beautiful cover, but it wasn't like, it's not like one of those like intricate book covers where you're like, oh my head, look at it, yeah, you know? Okay, so the last question is, what books do you really need to read by the end of this year? I only have 2, which is previously mentioned Middle of the Night by Riley Sager, and a book that my brother has recommended to me that he is so passionate about. Every single time we call on the phone, he's like, hey, you need a book. He like forgets the fact that he's told me this 4 times, but this book called Everything That's Sad Is Untrue, about an immigrant who goes to a school that was close in proximity to the school that I went to when I lived in Oklahoma, Edmond, Oklahoma, if you're from Edmond, Oklahoma. My brother read it, related to some of it, found it very inspiring and all of that. And yeah, it's one I definitely need to read because he has such great things to say about it. I don't personally love book recommendations, because I feel like a lot of people project what they like onto other people when it's like, recommend me a book if you know like it will fit within my taste. And I feel like a lot of people don't do that. I don't do that sometimes, but I'm trying to get better because I want to recommend books to people that are like in their taste, because I want that same treatment. But yeah, that's all I got for this book tag. If you liked this in any way, shape, or form, if you took anything from this, if you hated this, loved it, whatever, just give me a like, please. It helps out my channel so much, seriously. Wherever you are, whoever you are, whatever you're doing, whatever time of day it is, I hope you have a great morning, afternoon, or night.